Good morning and a warm welcome to all. Myself, Mrs. Shweta Patel, on behalf of the Department of Microbiology and Biotechnology of Patkar Vade College, warmly welcomes you all for the webinar on applied genetics and genetic counseling. Genetic techniques are used in medicine to diagnose and treat inherited human disorders. Knowledge of a family history of conditions such as cancer or various disorders may indicate a hereditary tendency to develop these afflictions. Cells from embryonic tissues reveal certain genetic abnormalities that may be present in newborn babies. This is where genetic counseling helps to identify possible risk of genetic condition by analyzing inheritance patterns and provide information about genetic testing and related procedures. This session will put some light on the topic applied genetics and genetic counseling. I extend a warm welcome to our Chief Coordinator, Mrs. Ruchita Dalvi. I also welcome our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Usha Dave ma'am, medical geneticist and neuroscientist, specialty metabolic and genetic disorder. Let me introduce to our speaker. Dr. Usha Dave has established Center for Research in Mental Retardation, CREMERE, in 1985 and started first GCMS metabolic testing service in 1997 in India. She is president of ISPAT and vice president of EMPI, founder member of Indian Society for IEM, state appropriate authority and advisory member of government PCP NDP Act Maharashtra State. Ma'am holds organizational positions as Research Director, MILS, International India, Mumbai, National Professor and Visiting Scientist, Hafkin Institute, Mumbai, Laboratory Director, Navigen Labs, Mumbai. She is also Research Guide of Mumbai University for PhD and Medical Genetics at Wadia Maternity Hospital, Mumbai. Ma'am has published more than 150 publications in national and international journals and books. She was also invited for as a guest lecturer at international and national scientific meetings and has been awarded Lady Tata Memorial Fellowship, Best Paper Award at Anacon, and many more. Her field of research work includes clinical, biochemical genetics, cytogenetics, molecular DNA diagnosis, reproductive genetics, and metabolomic studies. It's a great honor to have you here today, ma'am. Before we begin with the webinar, a few instructions to the participants. I request all the participants to be kindly patient. If any technical problem arises during the lecture, we will resolve all the technical glitches. Kindly mute the audio and video for smooth conductance of the session. Post your questions in the chat box. It will be answered at the end of the session. Please maintain the decorum of the webinar. Ma'am, I request you to please take over the charge of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Shweta, for giving me this opportunity. Yes, thank you, Shweta. You have already introduced me, and I'll go to my topic style straight away. The topic given to me is very dear to me as applied genetics and genetic counseling. but I have added here as a career opportunities for all these PG students, graduates and undergraduates that you have been studying genetics and genetic counseling, right? So why are you doing this? Are there any career opportunities? How you can continue these studies? Can you see now? Sorry, there was slight technical issue. Career opportunities in genetics and genetic counseling. You may be knowing that it is there in various fields where you can apply your genetic knowledge. Okay, so I am here today just to explore you people to various areas which we have been doing in the field of medical genetics, science, research, laboratory, or even in the area of basic research also you. So how that has been applied for the benefits of the patients who are suffering from genetic conditions, and how genetic counseling is important. Okay, so my first slide after this. Let's not go into the next. Now it should be complete. Can you see slides now? Okay, is it okay now? Can you see?
Yes, ma'am.
That's earlier one only, I think you have to take. You have to resume from that side.
What I do is I check screen.
And if I'm not saying it's okay, I think they are saying it's all right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. Is that all right? Okay, sorry, students, for this slight technical issues. So, okay, coming back to the topic is that the revolution in genetic science, when we say, is you may be knowing these two great scientists, of course, who discovered the DNA molecule. And you can see over here is a long back in 60s. They had come here, Watson and Crick, you may be identifying, who had come and visited Tata Institute of our Fundamental Research in Mumbai. You can see the Indians behind, and that was the shot taken here. Okay, so that was a great discovery was made, and that was the thing that a discovery of DNA molecule was really that had revolutionized the genetic science. Okay, and once when that was completed, then there was a great another project which was taken, which was whole genome map, the human genome project. So revolution in medical genetics really happened with completion of human genome project. So what was it like? The all human chromosomes, which we'll see in the next slides, they were mapped. The genes on that were also, properly delineated with their functions and the disease related. So after the genomics, there were transcriptomics, there were proteomics, and now it's a metabolomics. Though science has really evolved and the various omics technologies have emerged. Okay. So now coming back to the human blueprint, all of us are unique with our chromosomes. Okay. So what we are is with the 46 human chromosomes, which are made of DNA. Each contains genes in the linear order, and the human body cells, which are 46 chromosomes in 23 pairs, okay? And each pair is inherited from the parents, okay? So in this, when you see a pair, one chromosome is from mother and one chromosome is from father, okay? And the last 23rd pair is the sex chromosome pair. So if you have the XX, it's a female and XY is a male, okay? So for example, if it's a sickle cell disease, we know it has been discovered that on chromosome 11, the genes are there. So when you are studying the families of sickle cell, you will study the chromosome number 11, okay? So let's come back here now with the reproduction, how they are inherited from both parents, right? So there is the sperm cell, which is in a haploid condition, has 23 chromosomes, having all father's characteristics. And the egg cell, which is the mother cell, again having all the haploid cell and all mother's characteristics, okay? So the fertilization, when it takes place and the fertilized eggs, again the 2n number forms, that means 46 chromosomes. So the baby will have 50% of characteristic from mother and father. So this is the fundamental thing that everybody should know about it when you are studying the human genetics or in the now further with the medical genetic disorder. Another one important thing is the terminology that you will remember is phenotype and genotype. When we use this word phenotype means what? It is the outer look of the person. If you are studying as the animal kingdom knowledge for the genetics, then it is the outer appearance of that animal or insect or whatever, okay? Then when we are studying the human here and the human baby. So this baby, if you see, the baby is having the phenotypes. What? As a black hair, she is very fair, she has lovely, beautiful black eyes, fair complexion. So these are the phenotypes, okay? Which she has inherited from mother and father, okay? And the genotype is the codes, okay? The code which is there, that is going to determine the genotype, okay? So every genetic defect or all genetic characteristics that this baby will be shared with the mother and father, okay? So how they are shared? They are shared in the dominant fashion or the recessive fashion. So what do you mean by, you must have learned it also in your studies, that there is a dominant inheritance, there is a recessive inheritance as such. That means if the locus is a dominant, means even if it is on one allele also, it will be expressed. While the recessive gene will be, even if it has the defect, it will not be able to express it unless there is a double dose. So both mother and father will have to give as a homozygous, okay? So the homozygous dominant allele, if it's shown here, and you must have studied also in your topics and the subjects. While the heterozygous means they are the carrier. They are carrying that defect, genetic defect, or whatever the positive nature, whatever it is. So here I can give you the example. Sometimes in the families we see, oh, this person had a very good height, but his father was short. But maybe the grandfather was very tall, or she had a beautiful long hair. Why? Oh, mother was not having, but her Masi was having. So what does it mean? You have sometimes the 50% of that character alleles are required to cause the phenotype. So in generation later on it comes whenever there is a homozygous for the recessive allele. Okay. So these are the basic things that one should know about it. So based on this, when you have your 3 generations or 2 generations or the 4 generations, these characteristics are inherited, okay? So your uncle and aunt also will be sharing some, your mom and dad from there you have shared some, your grandfather and granny. Then when I want to study the genetic condition in that person, how am I going to do? I cannot have gone asking so many people, so many things and write a big essay, right? So therefore, there is a pedigree charting. Pedigree charting is nothing but in a short way, in a shortcut or a shorthand to write the family history. So we'll see through that also in some next slide. So when the genetic patient is there or suspected of a genetic disorder, you do first as a genetic evaluation using the pedigree chart. And here there are some international symbols which are given for the male or a female, or when there is a marriage, there is a line over there. If the person is deceased, then there will be the deceased thing. If it's affected, then it is shaded, okay? So if it's a consanguineous marriage, which is very important in our population because there are so many castes and communities having consanguineous marriages. So you will see it later on. These are the international symbols. So if I have to discuss some case abroad with somebody, my colleague, and take his advice, I can give a shortcut way of giving the family history. So here are some examples of pedigree analysis. Autosomal dominant inheritance. If you have a look at it, you will see that dark shaded are affected. And in every generation, first, second, and third, you will see that they are affected. You will also see that both male and female, that is both square and the round, they are affected, right? So that means it is not a sex link, it is related to autosome. Every generation it has come, that means it is a dominant. While on the other side, right hand side, you will see autosomal recessive inheritance, where there will be people who are carrying that defective gene, but they themselves are not affected by the genetic condition. But by chance, they two carriers come together, which happens mainly in the communities, like in a Parsis, you will find G6 pretty common because they are among their own community getting married, right? Or in a Muslim, if we have seen it over here, they are among the cousins getting married. So then there is a more chance of genetic defect going around in the families, right? So therefore, the homozygous recessive will be there. That chance is more and therefore more affected. So lot of mental retardation or intellectual disability which are becoming will be having like this, children more. And you have to find out the consanguinity is there or not, or it is running in the family or not. So the importance of pedigree analysis is there, and it is very important in your genetic evaluation because it gives you vital information about the family, genetic trait, whether it is autosomal recessive, dominant, or X-linked, right? So it also saves your time. It's a convenient method for representation, storage of data, and recessive disorder. As I was telling you, you can make those families aware of such a condition. When they get married or when they go for the next pregnancy, they can check, and that also I will be showing you in next some of my slides as the case presentation. So risk to the progeny of the proband can be calculated based on the inheritance. So based on the genetic inheritance, if I take a genetic evaluation of the patient, then I will characterize that patient in 5 basic modes, right? It's autosomal dominant, recessive, or sex-linked, like chromosome X or Y. The gene may be on the chromosome Y, which is very, very important in fertility. So there are some Y chromosome linked infertility. If it is on X chromosome, there are characteristic conditions as X-linked mental retardation. So it could be sex-linked dominant. And now there are a mitochondrial inheritance as it is evolving. As I told you, the genetic science, more and more new discoveries are made. And there are some disorders which are as a mitochondrial disorder. And epigenetic phenomenon, as you know, the gene or the DNA sequence is same, but at the time of changing the protein expression, there is a change due to environmental factors. So there could be so many cardiovascular, diabetes, which are polygenic disorders. Okay? Now next is another tool which I would like you people to make it familiar, because I am giving you the career opportunities. Dermatoglyphy, which is used in the forensic science, and it is a very ancient also science of India, and it had also emerged, or the roots are also there. As you may be knowing, there are shankhas and chakras on our tips, right? Now you are born with these shankhas and chakras. Every individual is unique to it, and it is these lines are prepared at the 20 weeks of fetal life or in pregnancy in that baby, okay? So that means you are born with it, you are dying with it. So these lines are whatever we call it as also are used in the crime scenes and the criminology. So everybody, what you may be seeing, the fingerprints lete hai, why? Because of this fingerprint. So genetic, then there are some genetic conditions where you will find these abnormal. And there are some genetic syndromes which will also show abnormal dermatoglyphy. So this is again another science which becomes very important, and we geneticists. Now here you must have seen one hand which is having only 2 lines. Now majority of the time you will see your hand, you will have 3 lines. Now this one line across your palm is called as a simian crease, which is very common in some of the genetic syndromes as Down syndrome, where there is a chromosomal abnormality. Okay. Now 0.03, 0.1 to 0.3% you will find also in normal population as a variant. But if it is something like mental retardation, genetic syndrome, and if it is there as a simian crease, I will favor it in more in case of the genetic disorders. Okay. So in the end, what you will have phenotype, just to understand, and that phenotype is due to genotype. Genotype is your 46 chromosome, which will have, there are about 25,000-30,000 genes which are discovered, and they are there in a linear fashion. If they are only on one side in the heterozygous, or it could be the homozygous by expressing the disorder, or it could be a dominant also gene causing the disorder. The way these are for your normal characteristic, the similar way they are for your abnormal genetic defects or abnormal characteristics also. So I know about this. So what is it? How I can detect? How I can diagnose? So what are the genetic tests? Now the basic you must have seen or well versed with certain technology over here, but how it is used in actually the diagnosing genetic condition or the medical genetic disorders. So first is the karyotyping, which is a chromosome labeling, and it is the 46 chromosome. They are given as an autosome and sex chromosome, right, in a linear fashion. This is the basic gold standard genetic test, which is first thing when we suspect. Then if I have more knowledge, I can suspect something more. I know it is a trisomy or the trisomy of the 21. Then I can have special probes, and I can have as a fluorescent in situ method. Okay. So then there is a sequencing. If I know that there could be some mutation, then I can use the sequencing for change in the code, right? And now there is a massive parallel sequencing as next generation sequencing or the microarray. They are giving us the solution. Let's see how we are going to get the help from it. So here it is something like if I have a translocation, if I do karyotype, and if I see, as you see over here, 46XX, then we will go in the literature, what is the defect, why is the translocation like this? And I'll show you later on also, it's a very basic thing. The laboratories should have any genetic laboratories as a karyotype or cytogenetic. Fish, when I suspect, then it will be there. And the base here on the right and left hand side corner, next generation sequencing is nothing, but the chips are there on which your all genes are mapped, and you are comparing the normal with the abnormal. And microarray also here you will see the genetic dose which is there, which is extra or less, the more, whether it is a triploidy, it is aneuploidy, any chromosome number, there is the more genetic material is shown over here, and there are algorithm and software. So the biotechnology has really helped, and it has been evolved. Okay. So the genetic conditions and genetic disorder, genetic laboratory tests can be the basic as chromosome, fish, or PCR if you know something as a mutation. For example, I know something as a Rett syndrome or MSCP2 mutation, or in something as a Fragile X, and that sequence and mutation is small and I can just find out, then I can do PCR. Okay. But if I do not know about it and I have just little bit of clinical information, then I can go for the advanced genomic technologies, which could be target specific. But of course, sometimes there are the defects as such, and the limitation as such. Chromosome study is very low microscopy level. Fish also, it's a very skilled technique, and the people have to know about it. There are some artifacts. So interpretation of it becomes very important when you are entering in the field of genetic as a professional. So the experience, the number of years that you have to become a master in it is really great, and one has to be really master the technique. So here is just a basic about one test. Karyotyping is nothing but the peripheral blood we take. Generally, they couple with pregnancy loss, infertility, stillbirth, mental retardation, if there are the syndromes, whatever, abnormal in a family when they come. The first thing is a basic karyotype. In a pregnancy, if it is there too, then that time we also take the choriovolus biopsy, amniotic fluid, and there are particular period, the pregnancy period, during that only you can take the sample as a tissue sample, because more than that, then larger the pregnancy advances, then it is very difficult, because you cannot take the reproductive option or termination, medical termination of pregnancy. So the tests are devised, they are either earlier pregnancy with the experts doing it under ultrasonography without affecting the baby. So these are the things which are available here always. Okay. But if I suspect some syndromes as aneuploidy, I know, I suspect Down syndrome, and I don't want to culture where there is a culturing problem, and I just take the peripheral blood. I can't have a fish, though it is very little bit of the expensive also. But then here there are 3 dots, if you see it here, and there are 2 green dots, right? So ideally there should be on the left hand side, if you say for 2 chromosomes there as a pair, there should be 2 dots, right? The fluorescent which are blue. But here there is a 3, means there is the trisomy of that chromosome. So this is the way there are the specific chromosome banding, you can do it, and the fish techniques are available. But of course it is operator dependent, visual interpretation is important, and you can just specific target those regions only. When you come sequencing and PCR, I think you people know about it. This is just the theory of it, but this is again the person has to be very, very expert, spend years in getting the expertise in it and identification and of the the chromosome chromatogram identification, which is the best one. Is it okay or not? Is my DNA pure? Is the DNA is of the best quality? So these are the things which are important. So chromosomal microarray analysis, next generation sequencing, NGS. Now the companies have come. So as a career opportunities, what I wanted to tell you is the companies have come. Now they are offering international companies. There was a time when we had done 1 month test of whole genome sequencing for 1 lakh rupees. Okay, 1.5, 85,000, which has come down to 50 to 60,000, and now they are available also for the 30,000 rupees whole exome sequencing. So the thing is, there are the microchips which are there. There is a hybridization. There is a process, and then there are the gene sequencer are available, and there are the laboratories. So biotechnology people, genetic people have a great scope over here, and similarly for the microarray over here. So for example, the cardiomyopathy here I have given. Now what the companies have done is, so far whatever cardiomyopathy, overall the thing which they have found the defect in the genes, they have gathered together. So in case clinician is suspecting something, okay, cardiomyopathy is a very important thing. Then we can do, instead of doing the whole genome sequencing, I can do for only 59 gene panel. Or it's a autism, the case of autistic. You may be knowing Tare Zameen Ke, what was that movie? Amir Khan's, where you had seen the autistic little child with hyperactivity. Now these are very complex neuro developmental disorder and the syndrome. You cannot have clinically the diagnosis very accurately, and clinical diagnosis or differential diagnosis also becomes good. Now in this case, there are already people, research scientists have found out 93 genes, so I can say just the autistic feature, I do autism panel. So one of those are the genes which will be screened, right? And here is the slide which is showing that when you should. So once you get experience in the medical genetic condition, your genetic science or different genetic method, which test to be used for what. So in case it's the basic thing as a Down syndrome, I think I'll do first chromosome. If there is a balance, something translocation, recurrent aberrations are there, then I will do another test, also karyotype, and also I'll go for exome. If there is already beta thalassemia or something as a single gene disorder, which is there available, then accordingly I will go for it. Okay. So these are just the example. But the important is, apart from everything, the way genomic science has been evolving, one has to remember also the medical legal aspects of it. Okay. So here is the 40-year-old baby who delivered a Down syndrome. She drags to the doctor to consumer court. The things happen in Mumbai. Okay. So there are tests which are during pregnancy, you can diagnose and you can identify and do the genetic counseling. So slowly I am introducing the word genetic counseling. So what is genetic counseling is that you have to have the knowledge of disorder, you have to have the inheritance, what are the tests available, etc. And you should be able to counsel that patient, right? So let's see how we do the genetic diagnosis, right? The patient or the family who comes to you may be at a genetic risk of the disorder, or maybe he is referred by another doctor or a general physician. So what, when he comes to the genetic counselor, now here is the term I am using as a genetic counselor, which is very, very important for as a career opportunity. And in India, there is a great demand for the genetic counselor, and all paramedical people who can spend the time in the medical research laboratories with clinicians, get the genetic counselor diploma degree or whatever the course, has a great opportunity. So the genetic counselor, what, based on his knowledge, based on his expertise, he will make the provisional diagnosis based on the clinical signs and symptoms also provided by the doctor. So he will differentiate he or she as an environmental factor, it can be prevented, or there is some genetic factor involved. If there is a genetic factor, then you have to, based on your knowledge and information, various genetic investigation or the laboratory test, which I just described, will be recommended or advised. And this genetic counselor will provide also information what about the risk of recurrence. Means what risk of recurrence means? Whether it will happen again to me, whether it will happen again in my family. What is the risk of recurrence? Okay. Now it is happened, there is some defective child or mental retarded child or thalassemia child or whatever, or with congenital heart defect child. Now my next pregnancy is there, how I can prevent it, how the pregnancy monitoring can be, and if it is possible or not possible. If not possible, are there any other reproductive options available? Whether I can go for assisted reproductive technology, you must have heard as a test tube baby, right? So there are now available in India in a very good centers the opportunity, the facility and the services for such reproductive options. Okay. So here now I will go you and show you some of the things. Here is the baby who comes. Now you can make out the one on the left hand side, skeletal dysplasia, right? Sometimes the family come, they have both children with mental retardation. That time I know that it is familial and genetic. But if you see the baby on the right hand side, is a facial dysmorphism. She has constantly her tongue out. She has slanting eyes. She has flat nose bridge. Looking at her, I can make out it is a Down syndrome or trisomy 21 baby. And I can just confirm it by karyotype study, whether it's the same or not. And accordingly, I can do genetic counseling to the parent. Here is the mental retardation with spasticity. You can see the baby. Then another baby who is there on the bench is so much mental and motor development from the beginning. Okay, the baby is already 3 to 4 years old, but not holding neck, not sitting. So these are the very severe and spastic. Or at times there is no mental motor delay, but the patient is having a behavioral abnormality. The child will be spitting, or for his age of the 6 years, 7 years, we will not be appropriately doing the thing of his age, okay, which should be usual, like hugging, kissing, then having the affection with the parents, or sitting at one place, playing with the toy. Instead of that, he will be all the time cranky, shouting, screaming, and not sitting at one place. He doesn't like hugging and things. Then I know it's some neuro behavior or autism problem. Based on that, if I'm showing you here is also baby, you saw if the eyebrows are so bushy and joined, right? Now sometimes when I see two brothers here, I know it's a Fragile X syndrome. So when I do a karyotype here, I can see here a fragile site in the chromosome X. But while this may be Cornelia de Lange syndrome, looking at the baby's nose, looking at the baby's eyebrows, looking at the baby's also the thin lips upwarded thing, I know it is that. So there are the genes and the mutations which are also discovered and described very well. Now here is the baby boy who was very normal looking, the mother who got it because he had little bit of the breast which was very prominent. So the boys, when he was going and playing, they started, teasing him. That was the time the mother had dropped. And then where we saw it is 47XXY. So there was one extra X giving so many other hormonal problems. So in this case, we have to do the genetic counseling. So this is called as a Klinefelter syndrome. So these are the very basic things. Here it is again, you can do PCR for Fragile X syndrome when there are two brothers and you can have the FMR1 protein find out in them. Now majority of the time this comes from the mother. Okay, so it is a maternal inheritance as an X chromosome. And therefore you can do counseling. Sometimes you will find mother also very low IQ in such patients. Sometimes you will see a very dysmorphic features, very coarse features, and they are very hirsutism all over, some joint contracture, and these are very characteristic of lysosomal storage disorder. You must have heard about the lysosomes, which are very important organelle of any all cell body, all cells, and they have very important function. They have the enzymes which are also important for the digestion of so many drugs, proteins, etc. So in number of the pathways, if something goes wrong, then there are the storage of products, which those storage products accumulate in your brain or liver, hepatic splenomegaly, you will see, or in the bones and the joint. So based on such clinical characteristic, among the thousands and thousands of genetic conditions, we can tone down and come, okay, this may be a lysosomal storage disorder, and further go for the specific genetic test. Here is the one which I was just thought of telling you, autism spectrum disorder. Some of you, if you are watching English movie, you must have watched, there was a Bruce Willis Mercury Rising movie where he had the autistic child. Now, sometimes these autistic children have a very high mathematical coding, the coding qualities. And this child in that movie had decoded FBI code, and which was a threat to national security. Very interesting if some of you want to watch it. But that is the thing, we do not know. In majority of the autism, we do not know yet what is the cause. But there are some girls who were first discovered by Rett scientists as a Rett syndrome, and then they were in 1 in 10,000. But recently, by 2000 to 2011 in USA, the autism has gone at the instead of 1 in 64. Can you imagine? It was 1 in 100 to 110, and now it is 1 in 64. We do not know why is it this developmental delay and autistic feature. Is it a lifestyle? It is a lifestyle of eating, or there are so many hypotheses are given. So you can see here there is, in case somebody wants to do the research on autism only, there is no dearth of it. And they are very characteristic, like stereotypic movements. They will be having lack of eye contact all the time. They will be rocking as such. There is a delay in language and speech, etc. Okay. So this was just a glimpse of things which I gave you. But at the same time, you have to remember that one condition, one characteristics can be, possible in so many different conditions. Like, for example, autistic feature, I will see it also in a neurodegenerative disorder. I will see in single gene disorder. I will see in PKU also. So that means what? One genetic counselor has to have the knowledge of all such things. Okay. Of course, the Google search has helped you people a lot, that you put a word on it and you will get the whole information. But seeing those patients directly, having a contact and doing the genetic counseling is the important for screening and diagnosis of these genetic conditions. Okay. Now, with this genomic technology, now it's possible to have a single cell analysis. So if it's not possible a tissue or any other thing, the tissue is very less, I can do the single cell also DNA analysis, and that has also revolutionized the science in the medical care and the diagnostic, as I will show you in the next slide, that now that the microarray is nothing, or even the advanced technology which you use is nothing but the very, very high resolution of chromosome. Like the karyotype will have a resolution of 5 MB, where more than that 1 MB, the change can be detected, even very, very low resolution by microarray. So this is the chip which you are seeing. So there is, you can enter in the production, you can enter in the research, you can do the science as a medical application, you can be a backseater as a laboratory scientist for this. And here was a case who had come as autism, and when we had done few years back, the first time entered microarray, which was very, very then the expensive. But what we got is on chromosome 7. Now that chromosome which you see, you can see it here on the right hand side, how many genes are there? The P, the centromere, the upper part is P as a P arm, and the lower is a Q arm, right? So autism susceptibility genes were already discovered, and this child had that defect on his chromosome 7. So now it's possible for me to counsel the parents, to counsel the young couple, and see that in the next pregnancy, it is not there based on the technology or the test. Here you have the single gene disorder. I'll give you example. In our scenario, if you say generally, you know that you find the tendency of hiding. The people or the parents or the families, they feel it is a social stigma. There is a first, the sign of denial is there. They want to hide such children. So this was a family who came. He brought a child he was just picking up, but then that was almost 5.5 years. When there is an arrow, you know that is my index case. While going in the history detail as such, then I know that he had other also child similar to that as a 3 years. And then when he wanted to go for again a second, that is again in our, can you see what is the pedigree showing? Because there were 3 girls and the family want the boy. You know, in Indian scenario, in Bharat, the boy, having a boy is very, very, very important, isn't it? But I do not think so. Having a healthy, normal child of any gender is important. Like in earlier generation, when there were 5, 6 children, we cannot afford now. The couple who comes today is for a healthy, normal baby, and they would go for a 1 or 2 children only because they can afford it. You know, the affordability is also very important. But then there was a pregnancy, we saw the amniotic fluid, we checked this was a glutaric aciduria. It is a single gene disorder, okay? Biochemical genetics, if you remember, this is the organic acid disorder. So if you remember that, then you can go do the biochemistry. The clinical biochemistry is very, very important. So what I do, the genetic testing based on the dysmorphism, chromosomal abnormality also, etc. There are the obstetric people and prenatal diagnostic procedures expert who can take out from this sac as the amniotic fluid or the chorion villi, which you can see over here also as this tissue which is coming out, or this is a sac. So they from here this comes as the amniotic fluid, which is ultrasonography monitored also properly without touching the baby, without harming the baby. You can have this sample which is similar to the same as the fetal component, okay? So then it is important that accurate genetic diagnosis is possible. So genetic counselor can have the prenatal and preconceptional genetic counseling based on the genetic condition in the family. So it could be if it is a single gene disorder and methylmalonic acidemia, I know it is B12 responsive, so I can avoid or prevent its disability. So why this early detection is that we can prevent the disability by appropriate therapy. So abnormal markers in case of inborn error of metabolism or in IEM or congenital metabolic disorders can be found out and further molecular study. And you can have the sample during pregnancy for mutation analysis, enzyme detection, and metabolic diagnosis. So the advances or the technology has evolved that they discovered there is very small fraction of fetal DNA is circulating in mother's blood. Okay. So now rather than going and taking out the sample, which has its little risk as such, now the technology developed and now you can have a cell-free fetal DNA in mother's blood. So it's very, very little, but then the technology has, made it possible that you can take out that small fetal DNA which is present in for very small quantity, and on that you can do the screening of the chromosomal disorders as an aneuploidy or some chromosomal microdeletion or microduplication syndrome. So the mother doesn't have to go for any of the invasive technique, and this is called as a non-invasive prenatal technique. This is really revolutionary. Now you will find that in case there is a risk which they find it that baby is abnormal, they will first go and do this test. And the last thing is in the case scenario which I wanted to discuss is the assisted reproductive technology through IVF and infertility couples who get this baby. Now I'm showing you the 3 chromosome. Okay, 3 X chromosome the baby has, because this was the baby who has come out of the ART procedures. Okay. Now, sometimes it does happen that there are during the separation of the haploid stage, something goes wrong. It's a non-disjunction. You may be knowing this phenomenon. Why aneuploidy happens? Why non-disjunction comes? Okay, so that happens, and there is an extra chromosome over here. So this was the baby with the Turner syndrome and a very good clinician. But then there is again a counseling. The triple X, you have to explain to both parents and teachers how this baby will grow, how the education will be there, how they have to take care of this baby further. Okay, so this is called as the genetic counseling to the parent. Now coming to the genetic counseling over here is the Harper, who had discovered and used the term first as a genetic counseling as a book, and he is called as a father of genetic counseling. So if you have learned just today over a period of these slides and things, you will know that what is it? It's a process by which the patients or the relative who are at risk of a disorder, which may be hereditary, are advised of the consequences of the disorder. Also, however, the probability or the risk of developing it again or transmitting it to the next generation, or the ways in which it can be also prevented or ameliorated. So this whole thing, the process is coming in genetic counseling. So genetic counseling takes care of all these things. So there are the career opportunity as a genetic counselor. Who does it? Who has the knowledge, and that can be conveyed to by a genetic counselor. So what do? They find out the risk, which may be as a Mendelian risk or basic risk or based on their autosomal recessive or dominant nature they can show. It may be having some burden. So they discuss that. Is it a small defect as a neurative defect or the cleft palate? You know, it's a small cosmetic defect. So it doesn't have that much of burden. While if it's a mentally retarded child, it will have a financial and emotional burden also. Then the treatment are available or not, and anticipated future development as a gene therapy. Okay. So genetic counselor's knowledge is about the 5 basic inheritance, and also based on the genetic defects, it can be chromosomal disorder, single gene disorder, it could be polygenic disorder, multifactorial what we call. It will be the environmental factor also playing important role, which we call it also as epigenetic, mitochondrial, and there are sometimes the repeat disorder which has come, like a fragile X. The CGG repeats in certain areas in that X chromosome will be repeated many times. It will be repeated more than 200 times, and that is the time they express the, which is the anticipation. Knowledge about various genetic conditions, whether it's a birth defects, dysmorphism, mental motor delay, autism, genetic syndrome, or the history of IUGR, stillbirth, means the baby is born and dead there, coupled with bad obstetric history, infertility, advanced maternal age, about 35 years of age, and then you have a baby. Sometimes the mother has a higher chance of getting Down syndrome or aneuploidy baby. Okay. Even consanguineous marriage, as I told you before, there is a chance of getting genetic defects closer. Okay. So there is a more chance of getting the some abnormal condition of the autosomal recessive nature. Endocrinological, neurological or muscle, epilepsy. That is also very, very the vital issue. You will find many people in the families sometimes having seizures or epilepsy. Okay, neuroregression, known familial or inherited medical condition. Sometimes you have a breast cancer in a family. Okay, so BRCA1, BRCA2, there are the gene mutation. Now, so therefore the science, genetic science has taken the people towards prediction. Okay, prediction means I have in my family, and of course there is a medico-legal things also, and one has to be also very, very particular about it, that the inherited medical condition you can predict. Okay, I had a family, my uncle, mother and all are having Alzheimer's disease. As a 15 or 20 years old young person, can I predict through the genes that I can have at the age of 40 plus or 50 plus, 60 plus Alzheimer? It is possible, okay? But then there are again the confidentiality and the legal part involved. So genetic counselor is a member of a genetic team, okay? The team involves primary diagnosis done by general physician, or maybe the social worker has brought you to the rehabilitation, or in the institution there are medical social worker. That is also again another branch, medical social worker, which you people can take up as a biotechnology genetics student. And geneticists, you can become cytogeneticist, biochemical geneticist, molecular biologist, or various genetic investigation. And last but not the least is the community genetics is another part, which is a population screening or the survey. For example, you can just have a defined survey. You may be wanting to do, for example, who are the high risk population. The families where there is a loss of babies loss, or the reproductive loss, or the abortions happening very frequently. You just take those cases. Or sometimes you just screen the mentally retarded in that population of a specific population area of the district or the rural. So this was a UNICEF project which we had done it long back, and where what we did it, can you see this on the left hand side up is nothing but our Malad East area, okay, which you can see as a bird view of what the population. My institution was next door, but naturally they were not aware of it. Similarly, the downstairs, if you see, it was in a rural population where there is a Anganwadi workers, you will see children coming. So what we had done, we had screened all those children, whether there is a developmental delay or mental retardation. We taught them how to keep the notes. We taught them how to keep the data record, and the nurses, we trained them. We motivated the parents to do the investigation which are required. And here you can see over here, this lady, she is my professor. She is a very pioneer in establishing human genetic cytogenetic laboratory in Grant Medical College. And here we are showing in the rural area to that nurse and Anganwadi workers how to keep the record. So we had more than 3.3 lakh population surveyed and found out how many developmental delayed or mental retardation. So this is called as a community genetics or the population genetics. And just a touch upon the newborn screening. Some of you might have heard about it. This is also part of community genetic program. USA and all the developed countries, they are using this, that as soon as the baby is born, after third day, in the first week, you screen for the common metabolic genetic single gene disorders which cause the death and disability in a child. But that time it is too late. The baby is 2 years, 3 years or 5 years, and you cannot do anything because the brain has a irreversible damage is done in a brain. That time you cannot prevent it. But yes, you can prevent if you detect very, very early, you can prevent this childhood disability. So WHO and all people, USA, Japan, Australia, European countries, they have introduced newborn screening as a community genetic program, and every child is screened for those common disorders using the mass spectrometry technology and ELISA techniques also. But still, it is a mandatory and in a health policy. While we do not have as a health policy or mandatory in India. There are some people who are the hospital centers where they are doing in a pocket. It is offered to those who can afford, but then the people, it should be introduced by the government, and we have our other priorities. So still this has taken a backseat. This was the example that how in 60s the newborn screening was discovered by Robert Guthrie, and then he later on developed a very simple blood test. On the filter paper you can take the blood sample, of the baby, and then you can check it for phenylketonuria or not using bacterial inhibition assay. But now there is a newer method also is there, and those filter papers are also available. Special filter papers you can take from the Hillbrig, the blood drop. Now they also showed that when these two babies girls were screened and earliest detection therapy management was done, they were not mentally retarded, while the same sister of theirs earlier was not screened and she had escaped newborn screening. So newborn screening has become as the very, very important health policy in the developed countries. Early identification of children at risk for the selected metabolic or genetic disease. So it is an ongoing preventive public health screening program all over the world. Still not India. They are introducing as a project, or some hospitals, or as a state level, one or two are doing. There is a hearing also, the newborn screening hearing test you can do, because by checking the hearing at the young stage, you can prevent the further developmental delay, because if there is a deafness and nobody notices, the child is going to become the developmentally delayed. Okay. So my take home message to you all, my dear students, is genetics has entered the mainstream of healthcare, opening various career opportunities for non-medical science students. Don't think that we are not doctors. We are their backbones. We help them the maximum, and the application of research and discoveries is there into their clinical practice. So counselor that helps families to diagnose, understand of genetic conditions, gives the guidance to genetic disorders. He has the knowledge of laboratory tests, therapy, future prevention. So there are ample opportunities for careers in biotechnology, genetics to become the team member of the genetic counseling or a laboratory scientist. Okay, there is exponential development in terms of its clinical application. And looking at our population, which is very, very ethnically endogamous marriage, you will find a racial, ethnic, religious diversion, variation, and that causes the genetic diversity. So there is a great scope for application of this science in Indian population. And you people are so lucky to be born in this 21st century. I feel now that I should have born now in this century. You know, the technology was then not available to do and apply it for the benefit of it. But in India, now the people, whole world is looking at us. Different cultural practices, norms, traditions, even misconceptions are there. In some communities only you will find consanguineous marriages, okay? So I do some rural projects also, and I come across a very, very different, the norms and the traditions going on there. So it's really a challenge to work in India. And I stop at that, exposing you all to this new career opportunities as a genetic counselor and genetic counseling subject. Recently, my whole team and the students and my all colleagues together, we thought there is a need for such a textbook for the masters and undergraduates, which we have come as a genetic counseling. More than 36 chapters are over here with my co-editor. We have, so those who are also interested, they can buy it or purchase it also, which is from this Patkar College Biotechnology Department will give you the information. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for enlightening us with your knowledge and experience. Participants got deep insight into the topic and also relieved interesting facts. With your permission, shall we proceed ahead with the question answer session?
Yes, yes. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I would request all the participants to post their questions in the chat box.
You can read she can read the question. You will read the question.
How to make aware the people about genetic counseling and genetics?
Shall I answer this question?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See, we have been trying to do this for last 2 decades. Earlier, there was no course or the formal education, which is there abroad. You have master genetic counseling courses, there are diplomas and degrees, okay? And they are as a professional genetic counselor. So they can do this in the institution or wherever is required, you know, whether it is in NGO or in a community level is required. But making people aware is whenever there are positive cases, you know, these are the people who will tell them that it's happening in your family without any denial, without any stigma, to come forward and show your genetic defect and take the proper professional help, you know. That is important. More and more courses, more the clinicians do require genetic counselor. Okay, they do not have this knowledge and they do not have that much of time also to give a genetic counseling to do for one patient is 30-40 minutes, 1 hour sometimes, you know. So, and with patience you have to do. It is not in one session also. You may have to call, you may have to advise the test, take the report, again you have to call in 2-3 sessions it might be, okay. So to make them aware of in the public and thing, maybe you can have such population screening and community programs. The government also should come out. Sometimes these are the rare disorders. So to concentrate on the most common conditions, which can be preventable, that should be also your goal or the strategy. And having more integrated it in more and more the PG level, college level, genetic counselor courses, which is just started in India by 1 or 2 institutions. But looking at our population, which is at the rural span or the rural and
दूसरा कर रहा है पहला हो गया
हाँ भाई दो दो क्यों करके रखे हैं
कुछ नहीं यार
I
सभी को
request the
कुछ लिए।
participants to kindly mute.
Can the mother suffer from any complication? No. During prenatal testing, mother doesn't suffer anything, any complications as such. The expert person is doing it, and it is just hardly a 2 to 5 minutes job. Mother comes, ultrasonography is done, she's in the bed, and the expert OBGY, obstetric person who is expert in procedure comes, and in 5 minutes it gives us the sample. In an hour's time, within 5 minutes, the procedure is over, and half an hour the mother is just lying for the rest, and within an hour or 2 she is discharged. So there is no also admission required. It's a very small procedure.
Our next question is, what is the way to become genetic counselor? Are there any specific courses?
Yeah, that's what I told you just now. There are some. There are also the PG medical genetics in Vellore Institution recently in Hyderabad, and I think Amritsar, or there are some the genetic counselor phase 1 and phase 2, 3 they have come out. Also, there are abroad degrees and diplomas available for the genetic counselor. It is really a thorough practical theory work, okay, which is available. Yes. And sometimes during our time when there was no such formal education in the human genetics or medical genetics, we were the people who had in fact made the policy. So there are people, lab scientists, where there is a clinical and medical in medical colleges, institutions where there are medical genetic department. There you can go and spend the time 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and then it's my experience it was there. So all earlier generation geneticists, they were all with their experience and their specific interest, you know. For example, I am very much interested in thalassemia or hemoglobinopathy. So I will join that research department or medical unit or a clinician to get more knowledge and experience. But there is a need for such. There is a Maharashtra, I think, health science institution, and we people are trying. But there is really a dire need of introducing such courses for the genetic counseling.
Do any hospitals or institutes employ such genetic counselor, or the person has to start his own practice?
No, there are already the demand is there, and there are the opening. For example, just now also I had the opening, and people are asking, do you have any genetic counselor of so many experience? So even the laboratory, tertiary laboratory people, where there is a genetic sequencing and thing going on, this technology, they need genetic counselor. So there are already now the posts and the jobs available, and for the genetic counselor.
While performing a prenatal testing, can the mother suffer from any complications?
I told that. I think I replied that. No.
After completing MSc in microbiology, any course for studying genetics?
Yes, there are. Either you go for the PhDs, or there is also HGPGI, Chandigarh also PGI. There are some courses which you can do in the genetics, and you can also join the medical genetics post-graduation courses or do the PhDs.
How much does a genetic counselor make, and does it carry a greater value abroad?
Abroad, yes. Abroad, definitely there is a greater value. The basic, the earlier from $50,000 to $1 lakh, they are there. And there they employ in every medical institution, every medical colleges and medical hospitals, cancer institutions. Then there also sometimes there are something with the in certain industries. Okay, they would like to have such people. So there is a very, very professional course and the professional employment of genetic counselor. No way, it's too much in demand. And our earlier students had all gone abroad. There is Australia, so many universities, UK, USA, 2 years there is a degree course. And not only that, there is an association of genetic counselors. Way back 10 years back, 15 years, I was invited in Brisbane. There is a association of genetic counselors of Australia. So now also we are also coming out, and there is a board of genetic counselor of India, BGCI. You can go on that and find out. There are courses.
Ma'am, with the help of newborn test, can we also find out if the child is suffering from autism and Down syndrome?
Autism, no. But Down syndrome, yes. Because Down syndrome has a very typical characteristic facial features. At day 1, you can diagnose Down syndrome and confirm it by further karyotype testing or genetic testing. But in autism, it is a clinically recognized neurodevelopmental disorder or a syndrome. Okay. So when when I take a family history, I will find that 3 years old baby, and now the mother will say, by the age of 1.5 years or 2 years, she was uttering words. She was coming to me. She was talking 3-word sentence. She was mixing with children. But now, for the last 1 year or few months, she has stopped talking. She is alone. She is in her own world. She doesn't ask for anything. I have to feed her. So this is called as a neuroregression. So loss of acquired developmental milestones. She was speaking. So these are the ones which are characterized, and then they are called as the autistic feature or autism. And on clinical psychological tests later on, there are clinical psychological and behavioral tests which a professional psychologist does, and then they give the scoring whether it's a very definite autism, autistic is there. So day 0, you cannot, at birth, you cannot diagnose autism. But in case it is there in your family, sometimes it happens, and then you have done some genomic testing, and you have in your hand the genetic or mutational defect or a data, you can just test as a newborn screening for that child. It's a prevention, just for the prediction's sake. But clinically, you cannot diagnose at day 1.
In the third week after fertilization, the process of gastrulation takes place where the stem cells take their specific roles. Is it able to process the diseases at this stage of formation in the future?
Yes, there is a lot of research going on. Even the stem cells are used. Even the stem cells from brother to sister, they preserve. And the healthy stem cells are used for the, treatment of the baby. And there is a whole lot of research is going on. Yes, but they are at the research level. Clinical application quickly for the benefit is not there. But in case, yes, bone marrow cells and other cells, they are done. Okay, so there is a great research studies going on, and the stem cells are already, they are used for the SIBs. They keep those cells, fetal cord cells, and they have the stem cells from at that time, and the affected baby can use that from the non-affected, SIB. So there is a possibility, and there is a great scope for research. Of course, it's going on. It's going on.
I guess that is the end of question answer session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering questions of our participants.
Thank you. I hope it is useful to all. For any queries, I have given my number and the contact number. You are free to contact or contact Patkar Publishers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. As we end the session, I would like to thank Dr. Mala Kharkar, ma'am, CEO, and Dr. Shrikant Sawant, sir, Principal of Patkar Verde College, for their support. I also thank our Chief Coordinator, Mrs. Ruchita Dalvi, ma'am, and Co-Coordinator, Mrs. Anupama Tomar, ma'am, and Mrs. Neha Kolako, ma'am, as well as my colleagues for their constant support. I wholeheartedly thank you, Dr. Usha Dave, ma'am, for taking out time from busy schedule and delivering such a wonderful session. Lastly, a big thank you to all the participants for participating in this webinar. Thank you all. Okay, instruction for the participants. Feedback link will be posted in the chat box in 2 minutes. Okay, you have to all fill up that feedback form to get the certificate. So please don't leave the meet. In the chat box, the link will be posted.